Oh, you damn right. Let's go modcasting on a Wednesday. Changing things around a little bit this week on Orange Bloods Live. Normally we would go on a Tuesday. Switching things around because of Jeff Ketchum's schedule. Ketch is being the son of the year today. Ketch's mom has a minor procedure she's getting done. So Jeff's taking care of her, and we wish nothing but the best for Mama Ketchum. It is the Modcast. Thanks to Jason Sukamel and Alex Dunlap for jumping in with me. I'm Chad Hastings. And of course, it's the Modcast. So we are brought to you by Daily and Black. Let's throw up that QR code right here at the beginning. If you need lawyers that are going to be on your side, Daily and Black is the place. They are also the guys that have helped Orange Bloods out with that baseball NIL raffle, some incredible stuff that's been raffled off that way. They also raised a lot of money for those victims of the floods in Central Texas, and that GoFundMe, I think, is still going. If you want to go check it out, do a Daily and Black search on orangebloods.com, and you can find that. If y'all want to jump in the chat, we've already got people doing it, and basically the question today is simple. And it's complex at the same time. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to set the bar in South Beach, and that means the championship game. So, fellas, we can talk about the floor of a team and whether that's 7 or 8 or 9 wins for Texas. We could talk about the ceiling. We know what that is. That's winning everything. But since they're preseason number 1, my thought is you got to live up to your ranking. You got to get to the title game. It's one step past where you've been the last couple years, and you are preseason number 1. So to start off, am I crazy to say that's the bar for Texas?
No,
does that make sense to y'all?
Yeah, if you're preseason number 1, that is the expectation that you're going to be playing for the national championship, win the national championship, right? So yeah, that's a reasonable bar. Absolutely.
Yeah. Alex, you would agree with that? I mean, again, the word failure can be used in different things, but if you don't make that title game, Texas fans have a reason to kind of say, you didn't get where you wanted to go. You didn't take the next step.
That's hard, dude, because I don't think there's a million ways where the Texas season could play out and they get to the semifinals or something like that, and you don't look at the season and say that was a failure. I don't think that it's, think that they look. I just think once you get in the playoff, man, you don't really know it's like all bets are off, dude. Right. You forget, how close the Arizona State game was. You forget, with Clemson giving Texas a scare. It's like I don't think that maybe you could look at certain plays and certain things that happened along the way as failures, but over the course of a season, I think when you get there, put yourself in position. If the Texas gets back to the semifinals and somehow doesn't make it, I wouldn't say that would be a failure. I would say that the expectation, certainly within the building, seems to be and should be take the next step forward.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then I think that's totally fair. We got a good super chat that'll start us off here with JJ. You are right on where I'm thinking here. Very good. The other thing I think we can assume today, for people to save people chatting in about injuries, we understand you got to stay healthy. I think that overall discussion is there. Now, there may be some specific areas where we talk about, hey, really important for that position to stay healthy, but that's number 1. Obviously, you can't have a whole bunch of injuries and expect to go compete for a national title, get back to the Final Four and all that stuff. But Alex, it's really interesting that this is the first super chat. So I'm going to throw this up because I really think it gets us into the discussion. Jay, with a $5 super chat, says, Alex, I haven't gotten to hear your honest assessment and confidence level in this offensive line. For me, Alex, this is where it starts.
I'm just going to sit back and listen. Yeah, this is
right.
Take it away, Alex.
Is this Jay Lee? I think Jay Lee's on Orange Bloods, right?
Yeah, it is Jay Lee. For some reason, it turned into an L33 over the last couple of days. I don't know if that's Jay being cool or if somebody took Jay Lee from him. I don't know, but that's the same picture that he's had up. So it's still Jay Lee. Yeah,
I feel like I've been pretty honest about it, just in my in my writing, and that's that. I would put my worry meter or my confidence level. Let's talk about it just from a worry meter standpoint, 1 to 10. Mm-hmm. My level of worry about the Texas offensive line, I put it at a 6.5 or a 7.
Okay.
So a little bit more worried than baseline. But I do the one thing that I keep coming back to is like, man, I've just learned at this point not to doubt Kyle Flood and not to doubt what a great coach he is and not to doubt, his assessment of what he has. I've just learned to say, look, not only is he with these guys all the time, he knows more in his pinky finger. He's forgotten more in his pinky finger than I know about offensive line play. And I'm somebody that watches offensive lines very closely. I go to clinics to learn about it. He's a superstar. So I think if he thinks he's okay, he's okay. And that's not just him saying that. Like we've seen through their actions, like they don't take offensive linemen in the portal. They don't do like after spring ball, they told us that like, man, we weren't happy with our defensive line coming out of spring ball. Do you know how they told us? Through their actions and through their money. They go out and they get 2 more of these guys. They go get Murad Watson. They go get Levon Johnson. That's after spring ball once they've had a chance to assess them. And I understand that there wasn't the same level of offensive linemen out there. There wasn't that analog to a Murad Watson as far as the offensive line, right? And so if somebody like that would have been available, would they have gone after him and spent the money? We'll never know because that kind of player didn't exist. But as far as the offensive line's interior, you think about, okay, DJ Campbell, you feel comfortable with him. Cole Hudson, who started as a true freshman, rotated in at right guard last year with DJ Campbell. You in sort of a coach kind of way, the coach is like, we want some experience. We want guys that have been in games. Like you can have some confidence in him, but you got to remember, man, this is a guy that allowed disruption once every 15.56 snaps last season. That over the course, that since 2013, since I've been doing this, is like bottom 10 of all the offensive linemen that I've studied at Texas as far as allowing disruption and or committing penalties. He didn't have a good year last year, and that's your new center. That's your new quarterback of the offense. Nato Umuzulo hadn't shown anything until last season. Now, last season, you can look at it. You can say, well, his snaps per disruption allowed on limited playing time was like double that of Cole Hudson. So you could say, well, we could take that small sample and garbage time and say, well, at least he's moved forward, because it was in the past when Nato would play in garbage time, he was still bad. Right. So it's in keeping with the way I feel about Kyle Flood, that like this guy like Nato comes in that looks like such a mauler and such a body mover, right? That by this time, right? I mean, he was the same class as Kelvin Banks and Cam Williams and stuff. Like by now, that should be you should start seeing the fruits of that physical development. With that said, that's like 3 things that are big question marks, and that's the interior offensive line, and that's the group that we have heard has not been able to generate movement against this interior defensive front for Texas. Now, there's 2 sides of that coin, right? Because if they can't get movement against them, you say like, all right, well, maybe the interior D line's better than we would have thought, right? Good, that's good. It's a zero-sum thing. I mean, they're playing each other. But even just all that aside, it's hard to believe that losing a guy like Andre Kojo would bring into focus just the kind of a real depth issue at offensive tackle. I mean, you feel really great on the left side with Trevor Gooseby. Brandon Baker, you've paid him millions of dollars, right? I mean, the ultimate prospect coming out, comes up 5-star plus, comes all the way from California, total stud, moves well, all the rest, but he hasn't played, right? And then behind those guys, you have freshmen like Nick Brooks. Your swing tackles probably Jaden Chapman. It's a much different offensive line than it was last year, where you had 4 guys leave and go to the NFL. I mean, Majors wasn't drafted, but he's going to make the 53-man roster for the Bucs.
Yeah, and that's the big deal when we say, somebody in the chat was saying, why are people on the offensive line? Why are people doubting the offensive line? It's like, well, to lose everything that they've lost. I mean, Jason, I think it's a fair discussion to have. And to Alex's point, they did not go into the transfer portal and be able to have confidence in a Murad Watson type or Shaw or Brevard on that side of the ball. They just don't have it. So I think it's absolutely the discussion, and good or bad, they're going to get a test 17 days from when we're talking right now. This is not an ease in and Sam Houston State or UTSA comes to town, all due respect. This is you're going to the Buckeyes, and we're going to find out real quick if Texas can block.
Yeah, we'll know week 1. And to be clear, I mean, they did target. I'm blanking on his name, but there was the one Brevard or not Brevard. That's the
Pregnon.
Pregnon, thank you. Pregnon. They did try for one guy. I just don't think they thought that there was a wealth of talent in the portal. But by and large, they haven't used the portal along the offensive line. Like Alex said, I think Kyle Flood is confident in his ability to develop guys. But there's a reason every one of us talking and watching this would talk about the offensive line being the first area of concern. Alex said it. There's a lack of experience at some positions. Even as good as we think Trevor Goosby is going to be, he's still inexperienced. And we think he's going to be probably a first-round draft pick, but the guy's still inexperienced. Yeah. I mean, you've got a left guard NATO who hasn't played, Connor Robertson, other than DJ Campbell. And I've heard mixed reviews on DJ Campbell. I mean, if I'm being completely honest. So, and then there's just a lack of depth behind him. You lose Andre Kojo. So it's a pretty obvious discussion, and it's a legitimate. Alex, would you say your level of concern was 6.5 or 7? I think, is that what you said?
Yeah.
I was going to go a little lower than that, just because, like Alex said, I have supreme confidence in Kyle Flood. I agree with
you. Kind of have to at this point.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I mean, if he knows what he's doing, if he's not worried, then I'm like, okay, I can sleep well at night. But if there is one area of concern for this team, and listen, the offensive line can affect obviously your running game. It can affect Arch's performance. It has a trickle down effect. So if those guys up front aren't playing well and don't have the depth, that could be a real problem for this team. And Chad, you said it. We'll know week 1 what they've got, what this offensive line is going with this offensive line.
No doubt. I see that super chat that's there, Bates. We'll get to that. Also, thank our great partners throughout the day. And remind you, we're headed out to the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. That's right. The 12 o'clock show is going out there on Friday, the 29th. Come on out and see us. The OB Live event will be from 12 to 3. We're going to hang. We're going to have some of that Crimson Creek Smokehouse barbecue. We might sample one of these cocktails. Maybe, just maybe. Because quality control is important to us, and we need to be able to tell you the truth. Remember, Wednesdays through Sundays now, they are open. They've been open on Wednesdays since May back at the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. So you got another day to get out there and check it out. But come see us on Friday before the Ohio State game. Check out the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. It is going to be a good time out there. Always do it responsibly, but always a good time out there in beautiful Dripping Springs. All right, so offensive line kind of starting the discussion today, and this will kind of continue that discussion. ATX Bates with a $5 super chat. Bijan was amazing at making a bad O-line play look better. How much does Arch's size and mobility potentially help offset the O-line's youth?
I mean, it has to mean something.
Yeah, I mean, if I wouldn't be focusing on that guy, though. I mean, doesn't that need to be about Baxter's ability? Sorry, let me do that in the right order. Wisner's ability, Baxter's ability, Clark's ability. It's about running backs, isn't it, Jason?
Yeah, I think what he's
Arch's a
I think
runner.
what he's asking is he's saying that Bijan was the premier weapon on that offense, whereas he views Arch as the premier weapon on this offense. And Arch's ability to maybe escape, his escapability, his not just his mobility to run and use his legs, but also just I thought so last year. I just thought his instincts for manipulating a pocket, stepping up into the pocket and stuff like that would rival or were better than Quinn's.
I agree. Yeah, he was climbing well earliher than I was expecting.
And then he does this stuff to where it's like if things do collapse around him, he does this stuff where he goes, he's bigger, taller, longer, like fulcrum, higher launch angle, just better as far as the having to get off platform and having the athleticism and stuff to be able to get out there and sort of reset the pocket. I think those are important things, right? Especially if you are worried a little bit about the offensive line. And yes, obviously if things break down, his ability to just kind of tuck the ball, run, you don't feel every time Quinn would tuck the ball and run it, you would hold your breath and say, oh gosh, is this going to be another collarbone or, whatever else. Not, knock on wood, not to say that anybody's immune from injury, but Arch is a big, fast, rumbling guy, man. Like Jason will tell you, man, when we're out there on the sidelines at practice. And
I almost got ran over by him once, and damn it, scared the shit out of me.
whenever he comes running by wearing shoulder pads, you're like, dude, like if I'm standing in the wrong place and that guy just clips me with the side of his shoulder pad to my face, like they're gonna have to care flight me over here to the St. David's Hospital. You know, I mean, I'll be eating out of a straw for the next week. So, I think that honestly, yes, I think his size and mobility potentially do help offset the offensive line's youth and inexperience.
I agree. And we've seen what Arch can do. I mean, that straight line speed's impressive. We saw, he's clocked it or whatever Sark said in practice one day, 20 some odd miles an hour, but he's not Jalen Hurts or Jaden Daniels where he's just a natural runner. I mean, yeah, he can buy time in the pocket and his size will help and he can pull it down and run, but I think it helps Bates, but I still view Arch as more of a pocket passer than a true dual threat quarterback. We know he's athletic. We know he has speed and he can do that. But I say that and I don't know, I was talking to Diabell about it. And he's like, yeah, I'm curious to see how much they use his legs because we know he can, but are they going to want to use his legs a lot? So it's kind of an unknown, right? Even Diabell is watching to see how they use Arch and his athleticism. So I still personally think he's more of a pocket pro style quarterback than I do a dual threat, despite knowing what he's capable of. But I think it'll help ATX Bates. But like I said, he's not Jaden Daniels where he's going to run around and scramble for 7 seconds and then find a receiver downfield. So, but yeah, I think it'll mitigate some of those concerns. But still doesn't mean the offensive line is not a concern for me.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's just really, I don't know. Does the offensive line let you do whatever you want to do on offense? And that's going to be something we have to watch. We know that the schedule gets a lot easier after Columbus, but they get that test. We know what tests are coming later on. The other thing, guys, and again, I'm not going to name a specific name here, but as a unit, I feel like O-line is one of those things you go into the season feeling like it's somehow made of granite. And then you get reminded somewhere in those first 2 or 3 games, like, oh, there's somebody on the ground, right? There's a guy, you see him as soon as that big guy is getting attended to, it's like, oh, yeah, they can get hurt too, despite all the braces they wear and all that. And then you realize, oh, yeah, you can get rolled up on, and it's a position where you can certainly get hurt. And I just, the idea that all 5 of your guys go through the whole season, your entire run, and you never have to juggle, that's just unrealistic to me. So that's another reason to me why we got to watch this offensive line, because what Alex was talking about earlier, Alex, your point about how they've rearranged already with Kojo, it's going to happen again. Somebody's going to get a little banged up. We hope it's, a game and a half.
It's going to happen. I mean, it's already happened in camp. We had DJ Campbell miss 3 practices, and we've already seen what happens. Right. It's like they got to move Cole Hudson over to right guard, and they elevate Connor Robertson to center. And so that means it just goes to show you, it's like with the interior, your backup guard at both spots is your starting center. If that makes any sense. And then your backups, just because your backup center, Connor Robertson, becomes center. I think they would do the same thing at left guard if Nato were to get hurt with moving Cole Hudson to left guard. Although I do have much more confidence in a guy like Nate Kibble to step up than I would Connor Stroh. So maybe Nate Kibble would step up and you keep Cole Hudson there. But it just goes to show, it's like with this offensive line, even though now without Kojo, you have 14 scholarship offensive linemen. So almost enough for 3 offensive lines. Ask Jason, we've been to camp before where they didn't have enough for 2 starting offensive lines of scholarship guys. They would have on the second offensive line, like one number
couldn't have a spring game because of it.
Yeah, one number like 63 who you don't even know who. You have to look on your note card, and it's like Rick McBroom or something. That's just a random old offensive line reserve from years before. But you would just look and be like, all right, well, who's this guy? Now they have a full 3, but even so, we've just seen whenever something like during this camp, whenever there are going to be some weird permutations of stuff about how it happens. If something happens to Brandon Baker, is Jaden Chapman truly your swing tackle? Are you going to move him over there? Are you going to start a freshman, Nick Brooks? It's like, questions that these are tough questions that don't have easy answers. Whereas last year, like not only were the starters more experienced and they'd been there, they played a lot more games, they were all getting NFL buzz, all of it, but they were also more easy. The permutations weren't as hard to figure out what would happen if one of them got hurt.
Yeah, that's fair. That is a good way to say it. Right, the shuffling was easier.
It was just very straightforward.
Follow.
One guy gets hurt, the backup goes in.
Exactly. All right, I see 3 super chats we will get to real quick before we do that. Thank you to JMull25 for explaining us what happened. Everyone's display names reverted to showing usernames only. It's a YouTube thing. I hate it. LOL. Thank you for explaining that. So if you have been reverted to your username, but we call you something else, maybe give us a little signature at the end of your chat. So hopefully they'll get that fixed and you guys can go back to being whoever you want to be. All right. We got super chats and those are coming up right after I try to make you hungry by showing you a picture of a steak. And it's a steak done Oscar style out there at Taste on Main. And yes, the Brussels sprouts are good enough that I put them in this picture. I'm addicted to them. I love them. Taste on Main. You don't have to get the Brussels sprouts. Obviously, you could get something else. They're at 116 Main Street in Buda. You're looking for that beautiful blue sign. Free parking is available. They have only East Coast oysters. If you're into oysters, they only serve the East Coast oysters. They've got a great they have a great Saturday and Sunday brunch that they do as well, 10 to 3. So get on over there and check them out. Taste on Main, always a good time, always great food. Again, these are the same people that do Hayes City Store. So tell Travis, Tamara, and the crew at Taste on Main that we said hello here at Orange Bloods Live.
You're not even going to explain what an Oscar-style steak is? Do you even know what that is?
I didn't even know what it was when I went in. Oscar-style steak it is a steak with like crab meat on top.
Oh, and some kind of creamy sauce, it looks like.
And a creamy, yes. And I looked it up. It's called Oscar style because there was some leader of the world. I can't remember. It's the king of somewhere that decided he wanted his steak that way. So they call it, and he was King Oscar. So that's why it's called Oscar style.
I'm going to be driving through Buda on Friday and maybe Saturday, moving my daughter into her dorm. That damn thing looks pretty good. You might have just sold me to make a stop to Taste on Main. So,
yeah. Not bad. Not bad at all. All right, let's grab these super chats here. Eric coming in with a $19.99. Thank you, Eric. Kyle Flood is the highest paid O-line coach in the country. You don't make that kind of change if you're an average coach. In Flood, I trust. Yeah, both of you guys have already, said a version of that, but that's what we've seen on the defensive side. There have been questions these last few years of, will this guy step up? Will those 2 guys step up at D tackle? And the answer's been yes, over and over. And on the offensive side, maybe it hasn't been to that degree, but we've certainly seen some really good development in spots on the O-line. So
and he's technically the offensive coordinator. That's how they justify paying him that hefty salary. But yeah, I mean, I agree. True. First of all, I haven't seen Eric in a while in the chat, so good to see him back. But yeah, you don't make that kind of change if you're average. I mean, I think Alex and I both feel the same way. It's like if Kyle Flood's, if anybody can get it done with, new faces and inexperienced players and maybe a little bit of lack of depth, I think Kyle Flood will push.
Even when he first got here, Jason, and the talent wasn't that good.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was able, they weren't playing like they played in 2024, but they were certainly playing at right off the bat, just a much more elevated. I do the deep dig. You just look at the grades. They all went from 74s and 75s and teetering on acceptability to where they're all getting 77. Whatever. It's not great, but it's and then you get to year 4, half these guys are banging out these 84 and 85, 86 grades, and it's just I'd be surprised if we're going to see that again this season. But I do think I like what they've done in 2026 for recruiting. I do think in 2027. And you probably know, is 2027 a good year for offensive line in the state? Is it good?
Very good. There's a lot of top end talent, if you will, including the number 1 player in the country. So, yeah, it's a good year in state. So it's a good year for Texas to have a need to go out and we've said that before. Now they got to go out and close on some of these guys, right?
Well, but here's the thing. Cody and I, we're going to talk about this on our show tonight, but like they need to take some money. I'm not sure that they need to go out and pay a big quarterback in 2027.
100% agree. Yeah, 100% agree.
They just need to take that money and put it into offensive line. Just kind of they need to get a group that's like that 2022 group and just get that in the pipe again, because it feels like we've kind of come to the end of a cycle here. And Kyle Flood, I think he's going to be able to make do with it because he's got enough pieces that feel like they're really good, especially if Gooseby stays for 2 years, right? But it feels like the pipe kind of needs a little bit of replenishing as far as what you have there in reserves.
Eric, thank you so much for that super chat. Here's another one on the offensive line. JN again with a $5 super chat. I guess the real question I'm asking is, with all the time they had to make sure Arch would have a good O-line, is this the best they
That's a good segue to what Alex just said. In 2027, they need to go out and money whip some of these guys. I mean, that's what recruiting ultimately boils down to in a large kind of way. Okay, that's great if they do that in 2027, and that helps KJ Lacey and Dia Bell and whoever else. But should they have done that maybe last year or even 2 years ago to have that set up for Arch? I don't know. Now Arch are you maximizing your opportunity with Arch Manning when you don't have a dominant offensive line? It's a very fair question by Jay. Did they do the best they could have done? I don't know. That's a tough argument.
Well, Jason, to that point, Alex mentioned it earlier about Brandon Baker. And I know Brandon Baker is being discussed
why they
sometimes
have
as this.
I mean, you don't want to pay all this money to have a guy sitting on the bench, right?
Right, but it's being told as a cautionary tale. What my question right now would be, why? Why is that thought of as a bad thing? If Brandon Baker is a badass in 2025, are Texas fans really going to sit there and go, yeah, but we've already paid him too much money?
No, because you would have to take Cam Williams off the field, right? to play the guy, right? I mean, you wouldn't want, unless you wanted to screw up his development and try and pigeonhole him in at guard. But I don't think you want to put him in at guard over either. Like, it was just they
right. But what I'm saying, Alex, is at this moment we just saw his backup get hurt, to where it's now like, hey, Brandon, this is now your opportunity. If he steps up and takes that opportunity, this is his second year, correct?
Yeah.
Right? So you paid a bunch of money to a stud to be a stud in this. I mean, if I'm one of the big blue bloods, so what? Isn't that kind of the way? I mean, if we're talking a third year, I can understand the argument. But isn't that kind of what you need to do? Get a badass O-lineman, and maybe it is the second year, but so?
We have somebody in the chat saying Kavian Bryant, no matter what. Seriously, I don't know.
You have to go read my rumor mill column.
I don't think Texas has. I understand that Kavian Bryant. I can understand why you would like him, but like, you're already gonna have KJ Lacey and Dia Bell fighting for a job right then, man. You need to get those guys stud offensive linemen. Those guys don't come cheap. These quarterbacks now are $3 million. You're gonna pay some guy $3 million to sit behind these guys. What Cody and I were saying is, like, this could be a year to maybe not spend up at quarterback, man. I don't think if Tech goes and pays off Kavian Bryant. I don't think if Tech goes and pays that guy off, it's like they're just stealing him away from Texas. I'm not sure that Texas is in that kind of big time, huge market.
So Texas Tech, it makes sense for them to throw a huge number at him, right? They need a franchise quarterback. Texas has what we believe is one possibly on campus. They've got another one coming in Dia Bell. So I'm with Alex. Go spend that money on guys to protect your franchise quarterback, whoever it is, after Arch leaves. So that's not to say you don't want Kavian Bryant. Obviously, he's a fantastic player, but get you you don't need to go spend millions of dollars on your quarterback in the 2020. Get a Trey Owens type quarterback, right? Trust your evaluation. Maybe a guy that's not going to break the bank quite as much.
I'm in complete agreement, and Cody and I are going to talk more about this exact topic later, because I have a lot more to say about it. But about putting Arch in the best position. The one thing that I will say, Jason, is that it did feel like, until until what's his name, Cody Campbell and JKB from the mods from the message. What's his name? What's his
Blanchard, James Blanchard.
Who
everybody in Orange Bloods hates. I got to say it. I always loved the guy, dude. He and I had a great relationship. He helped me a lot on some.
No, I mean, that was the thing about him. I would DM with him on the board. He actually used to have like pretty good contacts with like he would know where players were visiting and stuff. And then of course he got the job with Matt Rule, right at Baylor.
Yeah, he started at Baylor. His brother played at Baylor too.
Matt Rule to Carolina, and I guess after that he came back to Texas and went to Tech. Where's the GM? But that thing that they cooked up with that Felix Ojo stuff, I think Felix Ojo might have. Jason, you would know better than me. I think that Ojo would have chose Texas. Had that not come up at the very end. And Texas just said
it wasn't the very end, Alex. It was in play a long time. It just came out at the very end. But yeah, 100%. If Texas Tech didn't throw a crazy number at him, he would have been
and it wasn't just the crazy number. It was all the stipulations. It was the stuff that they cooked up saying like, and if there's not a significant decrease in what they allow and it stays the status quo from what it has been, then we're going to pay you up to this amount. And he comes back to Texas with this cockamamie conglomeration of terms. And Texas is just like, well, what? Like, we can't sign on to something like this. Like, I don't even who cooked. It's like, who cooked this deal up? Dr. Seuss. So I think that whole thing got Tech through a spoke or whatever. Like they threw something threw something in the spoke of that whole thing. It just didn't work. And it feels like there were others that, I think that this could have been a Felix Ojo, John Turntine class. And if it was a Felix Ojo, John Turntine class, or maybe even a Felix Ojo, John Turntine, Zayden Crimpin type of class, right? I think they would have liked that. I think that's probably what they were gunning for. And I think certainly that would have been something that they could have, at least for next year, at least one of those guys probably would start as a freshman. So I think
I'm looking at next year's in-state rankings. These are the Rivals industry rankings. Kennedy Brown, number 1 player in the state, number 1 player in the country. Quay Ford is number 5. He's an offensive lineman out of Texarkana. And we're getting down the weeds a little bit, but there's Ishmael Kamara is number 16. Alex, I think, you've seen Ishmael you saw with me in Indy. Yeah. So I think 16. I think they have him underrated, quite frankly. So it's a really good top hit. Caden Scott's number 24 in the state out of San Antonio. He might be underrated. It's a really good in top heavy offensive line class. So next year is a great year to go out and spend on some of those guys and try to land two or three of those dudes.
We got one more super chat we need to clean off, and we will do that after we give a little love to Texas Card House. And I think it's almost official. We're getting there in terms of watch parties. TCH Social Austin. I think it's going to happen. So if you haven't been up there on 183 next to the aquarium, come on up there and check out that unbelievably huge TV we've been watching games on for a season. It's going to be an incredible season to check it out. And remember, you get 1 month free club membership and 2 hours of free poker play when you mention Orange Bloods at any of the 6 locations. You see all 6 of them listed down there on the bottom of the screen. Also, remember the online poker experience at hijackpoker.com. Go to hijackpoker.com, get that app, put it on any device you want, and get to playing a little hijack as well. Make your plans to come see us out at TCH Social Austin. We will let you know.
Jason, details. Is there any just? I know it's taking us way off of Chad's topics, but is there any 2026 offensive lineman for Texas that could be a prime flip candidate?
Malachi Lee, the kid out of Honolulu, is committed to Michigan. He's the main one.
Okay.
And that dude looks like an NFL player. Right
I mean,
now.
It's like if I've only watched a little bit. Like you can only say huddle reels or so much, but it's like oh man.
Well, Michigan, Texas, Georgia. I'm trying to think who else was in the finalists. Maybe Oregon. He's a big time player, but he's the main one. A lot of people talked about Zayden Crimpin from A&M, and conversations I've had, that's highly unlikely the way things are situated right now. So.
Yeah. All right.
All right, guys, just a weird super chat, but we'll clear this one out real quick. Thank you to Sailor Joe, $2 super chat. Gruden coaching again? If he does, where at?
I have no idea.
Question mark.
I think he would love to. I think he would love to. He certainly made that clear. I think Gruden would do good, man.
Maybe he and Saban can team up
Is it
somewhere.
Do you think it's college, Alex? There were some of those Tennessee rumors at one point. Do you think it's college, or do you think the NFL might actually give him another shot?
Goodell's going to let him back after he's saying like, no, there's going to be no settlement. We're going to go through discovery, and we're going to get all of Goodell's emails. You think Goodell's letting him back in? You kidding me?
Yeah, probably not. So
no,
it's got to be college.
He's never ever coaching the NFL ever. He's been blackballed worse than he's like. If you've ever heard of anybody being blackballed by the NFL, it's like there's no way. And there's probably already been collusion that's gone on among people that like, no, you can't ever do any with Gruden.
So I'm thinking of different programs. There's one program, guys, I've been thinking of every time somebody says, where's so-and-so going to coach? Where's so-and-so? Like the other night on The Outsiders, this week on The Outsiders, somebody asked about Jimbo Fisher because Jimbo has expressed, hey, why does nobody want me? And I brought up the program I'm about to say, and I'm going to bring it up here. What about Arkansas? What if Sam Pittman has another one of those years? Arkansas finally says, we love you. Yeah. And Arkansas finally says, we love you, brother, but we got to move on. And Arkansas thinks we need a name. We need a little sizzle. We need somebody coming to Fayetteville that'll get attention. Either one of those guys fits the bill for me. Does that make sense?
Well, he said he'd love to coach in the SEC.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Well,
and that's one fan base. I honestly think that, like, let's say Venables got fired. I think the OU fan base would say like, I
think that'd work. I think they'd love it. That idea.
I don't know if they would. I think that no, because in the past, whenever Gruden's name is, this was the thing wherever I'd gotten word like. Do you remember that time, Jason, during one of the coaching searches where I got it from a very good source that Gruden would be interested in hearing from Texas? Mm-hmm. And Texas fans were like, absolutely not. No, like there's no way. He doesn't have any experience in college. Like, he'd be a terrible recruiter, all this stuff. Just from general, like I thought Texas fans would be excited to hear about it. They were not. I got booed out of the Orange Bloods forums for that report. So.
Okay, so Alex, what about this though? What if Oklahoma has another year that makes you feel like last year? Like, would Oklahoma fans get desperate enough that they'd think, I don't know, maybe?
I just don't. Gruden, you're gonna have to, his coaching agent's different from his media agent, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we start. I'm not going to mention the agent's name. I promised I would never say it. You can look it up and find it yourself. But he'll start like if there is interest from one of these schools, he'll float it. He's the best at floating it out there. He'll find the reporter who want to get it out there.
Does Gruden really excite people though anymore?
I don't know. I feel like he's
game for a long time.
I don't feel like he's the same. I don't think people look at him as like Chucky anymore. And some people
and would it work in college? I keep asking, would it work in college, guys? From the moment I heard that idea, I'm like, Gruden in college? He's like, the legend of Gruden is over about a 3 to 4 to 5 year period. He's going to grind your program into the ground. He's going to wear people out. It's like Jim Harbaugh kind of stuff where you might get something good out of it, but he's going to wear people out over time. And do you really think that works at the college level?
I don't know. And I think that Jim Nagy would have a say in that. They're going to, and you know what? They're going to have a brand new athletic director who's not going to, he's going to want to, do you think he's going to really come in and say, with my first move as athletic director, I'm bringing in Gruden, coming off of a scandal that got him kicked out, an alleged scandal that got him kicked out of the NFL, and now he's working for Barstool Sports or whatever, and we're going to bring him in as our head coach.
Right.
I think Arkansas would make a lot, and not to say that OU is much more highbrow than Arkansas, but I do think that that's a team, and it doesn't feel like a blue blood thing to do. I think that Kentucky, that might make, he feels like you're walking into a trap there if you're him though, right? What if Coach Prime retires because of medical stuff and they continue with sort of the celebrity, gimmicky kind of coach? I could maybe see Gruden going to Colorado.
That's an interesting thought. I had not thought of that. But as this season gets started, I wonder how much do you hear about that? And then just since he threw his name into the thing, do you start hearing Jimbo's name? And does he want his name back in discussions? It sounds like he does, and now maybe Gruden does as well. We'll keep our eyes
All
peeled
these
for that.
guys
Thank
do,
you
man.
for
They can't. They feel like if they quit coaching football, they just want to. They can't sit. They can't be happy sitting on the back porch and watching their grandkids play and going fishing. It's like
Right.
if they're not coaching football, these guys want to curl up and die, dude. It's just there's something in them.
They're afraid, Alex. Some of them are afraid they'll be Bear Bryant because Bear was dead like within 2 months, something like that. 3 months. Like that's the ghost story. I think if I'm a coach, like, wait a minute, what do you mean Bear Bryant retired and he was dead soon after that? Like, I think they get those kind of stories in their head, and it's like, no, I got to figure something out. But I don't know. Hopefully guys like Nick Saban are redefining that. Hopefully Saban can have this normal life after coaching and not have to go back.
But Steve, man, he still gets to have the weekly grind of being engaged with it. He gets to grind the film. He gets to talk. He has to prepare for. It's not preparing for a game, but it's preparing for a 4-hour marathon session where you gotta get up on the chalkboard and tell the people about these different plays and know who the players are, know the personnel, be able to break down the matchups. You get to get away from the wife and the kids for the whole weekend and travel somewhere. I'm just like, he's still kind of getting to do the thing a little bit.
Right. And yet, the pattern's been out there. I mean, hell, Jason, throughout our lives, John Madden set the pattern of like, hey, you can be a former coach and still be locked into the deal. And hopefully all these guys figure out, a healthier way to do this and not feel like they have to be I got to coach when I'm 75 because I'm afraid of what happens if
Bill
I don't.
Cowher was 40 something when he retired from the Steelers, probably. So he's been, he's transitioned to the media. He's been doing it for a long time. So
that's true.
They're out there.
Yeah,
But Alex, coaches are, they're confident, they're competitive. They have big egos, a lot of them. They think they can win a championship no matter where they go, multiple spots. So it's not uncommon when guys retire to see them unretire and want to take another swing at it.
Yep. All right, let's hear from Lisa and Specs. And I want to ask you guys if for something else for the Longhorns. We'll go back to that discussion. Here's Lisa reminding you to get all stocked up at Specs. Here we go.
Texans know for selection and lower prices, it all starts at Specs. Shop Specs! With all your favorites on tap, you'll bring home the win. Boots on, drinks up. The fun starts here. Shop Specs!
All right, guys. So if we're structuring today as, Texas trying to take that next step and get to a championship game, we've already established two things that will need to happen. Obviously, you got to stay healthy in key areas. We talked offensive line. You're going to have to block the hell out of people, especially the dudes in Columbus and the guys in Athens. And then whoever you're going to face in playoffs, right, whoever that's going to be, that's going to have a good defense to deal with. So for you guys, give me a third ingredient. We'll put a third ingredient in this show. Outside of those things, let's say you stay healthy, and let's say that offensive line does what it needs to do. Give me something else that's been on your mind that you're thinking, ooh, this needs to happen. This needs to crank up. This needs to ratchet up. This needs to be a little better. This needs to be blah, whatever, for Texas to get to the title game. Jason, I'll start with you.
I've got two things in mind. Young receivers need to step up. And then your transfer kicker needs to be what he's been cracked up to be. Shipley needs to be, if you're going to win a championship, you're going to play in close games. Field goals can be the difference in moving on or going home. So I'm going to go with the special teams overall. I think the punting game is going to be good. I think the kicking game is going to be better. It can't be much worse than what we saw last year. But so I'll go special teams, Chad, the new transfer punter and kicker.
Okay, interesting. Alex, what do you think?
So the question is, what needs to happen for me to say they're taking the next step besides offensive line, besides staying healthy?
Right. Well, yeah, assume that the health is there. That'll be a key number one. Number two, offensive line got to be good. Let's say that happens.
This whole defense thing, this whole thing about this being one of the best defenses in the country, this whole thing about the domination in practice, this whole thing about feeling stacked at every position, the pass rush being so good, the back end being so good. it can't. This can't be a mirage or just a camp thing. This needs to be something where they go out there and they actually truly are once the live bullets are flying.
That's a good way to say it too. Because as you're talking, I can make an argument if I'm a Texas fan, Alex, that if all that's real, if all that's true, Ohio State can't score 20. Now they could win the game, but you can't let them have 20. Like if that defense comes out of Columbus and it's that kind of performance. Now, maybe Ohio State does it even better and Texas loses 17-14 or 14-10 or something like that. But if that defense walks out of Columbus saying, well, that's all we gave up, like Jason, if we come out of that game thinking, damn, Texas needs Arch needs 2 touchdowns and a field goal and they may beat everybody, that's, that mindset can be really good for fans and the team and the whole vibe, but we need to see it. We need to see it play out. Like, is it really?
Yeah, we've fallen into this trap before where we're like, man, I'm trying to remember what year it was and what side. I don't remember what side of the ball. We're like, man, that side of the ball we're hearing looks amazing in all these scrimmages. And then we get in the season, we're like, well, no wonder the other side of the ball sucks. So it's like,
it's the spring game syndrome. We all know that every fan base goes through it. Yeah.
I think this is going to be a dominant Texas defense, but you're right, Chad. The proof will be in the pudding, when like Alex said, when the live bullets are flying against real competition in Columbus. So, but there aren't really any weaknesses, assuming those defensive tackles, I think, are as good. The ones that they brought in are as good as we're hearing. Then there's really not a weakness in this defense. And you got your pass rushers. You've got your linebacker plays good. You don't have a ton of depth, but you got your good linebacker play. Your secondary is stacked. So I think this is going to be a defense that can carry, like you said, Chad. I think 17 points will win most games if Texas can, if this defense plays the way I think it will.
That would be something. Also, I see a comment in the chat about Bomeister averaging 45 yards over the past couple of years. The fact that one of my favorite practice notes was when, in fact, it was you two guys, I think, that when you got to look at Bomeister, I think it was one of you that reported on it was a 60-yarder somebody got off. Like, that was awesome to hear. But then both of you, when you got to see him punt, you were impressed. Like, that's another.
That thing goes boom off his foot. I don't know how to evaluate punters, but man, that thing goes boom.
Yeah, it's big time. And we all know it's like if you can have that weapon on a really good team, the joke can sometimes be, well, all you got's a punter. But when you've got a badass team and you've got one of those, oh my God, now you're on a whole nother level. And that may be where Bomeister takes Texas. All right. Thank you guys for all the chats. If you want to throw a super chat in, we'll do it. I want to get a quick comment from each of these guys before we close up. But before we do that, let's thank another one of our great partners. That is AV Consultations. Here's Tom and Camilla to tell you how it works over at AV.
Hi, everyone. This is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations. We've been serving and assisting customers in the Texas area
I think I got this by now, old man. This is Camilla McKay, Audiovisual's social media and website manager. Our company has been helping you sit back and relax for the last 37 years. We come to you, and we're the kind of workers you want in your home. We give you all the advice at a great price, and we do a lot more than just audiovisual systems. We have employees capable of performing services like electrical contracting, heated floors, motorized shades. Am I forgetting anything, old man?
Yeah, we do surveillance systems, controlled lighting systems and landscape lighting, computer networks, multi-room audio systems, and of course, we install some really cool theaters.
I had a feeling you were going to say that last one.
Now, am I forgetting anything?
Only this. Remember to hug your kids, laugh with strangers, and make love to whoever the hell you want.
So give us a call at 512-255-8678.
Or visit us online at avconsultations.com.
That's 512-255-8678.
All right. Shout out to AV Consultations. You got 17 days till kick. I don't know if they can get you all set up by then, but, they'll at least get the process started. Check them out. avconsultations.com. Guys, before we get out of here, I want to get something from each one of you. There's obviously a lot of great content at orangebloods.com. If people don't know about it, you know about it. But if you have not gotten signed up, let's just remind you, it's $1 for your first week. Just jump in that way. You'll find out what it's all about. Click that QR code, or as it says there, subscribe at orangebloods.com, and you'll find all the stuff there, from Thursday War Rooms to all the great articles, all the great columns, and you'll find great content from both of these guys. Jason, this week on the recruiting side, In your 3-2-1 article, you did mention Derek Cooper and the fact that there might be a little, I wouldn't call it out and out fear, but the Longhorns need to be paying attention. Derek Cooper planning a trip to that Notre Dame Miami game. In terms of recruiting, is that kind of where your focus has turned right now? Or is there something else that's out there on the horizon? Where are we in recruiting at this point?
Yeah, for 2026, that's really the focus. It's going to be flips, right? Texas flipping guys or trying to keep their guys from flipping. But Derek Cooper visiting Miami, which, right up the street from his hometown. So that's something to watch for. Miami was a strong player when he picked Texas. And he mentioned, we talked about it on the recruiting hour. You can go watch that. Chad and I went in length, talked about it in length, excuse me. Also, Georgia and Ohio State may get visits out of him. Now, Texas does still have its official visit, so he'll for sure be back in Austin at least one more time. But, I'm not saying go jump off a bridge or anything, but your 5-star running back is visiting a home state school that probably finished second in that race, a school that has deep NIL pockets when it needs to. So it's definitely a story we'll be watching closely.
Yeah, if Texas got his commit with deep NIL pockets, you at least have to respect the pockets that Miami's going to show him if he does go to that Notre Dame-Miami game. That's first weekend, the Sunday, August 31st, is Notre Dame at Miami, one of the top 10 matchups, one of the 3 top 10 matchups of the weekend there. All right, Alex, real quick before we close up, I want to get a comment from you on backup quarterback. In reading some of your content this week, I was really interested in that part of it. We all, every Texas fan hopes it's not necessary, but they know the reality that sometimes you do need another guy. Where are you on backup quarterback right now? Is it all about Caldwell for you, or do you really feel like this is still a battle?
No, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of what I was writing about. I'm like, who really does know? Who really does know? Again, I just think if I was putting together the depth chart for my depth chart projection for offense, I think it's pretty much right. But whenever I got to quarterback, I'm like, well, I don't know what's right after Arch. If you think about it from the standpoint of the Ohio State game, the one thing I do know is that it feels like if Arch were to, have a wardrobe malfunction, let's say, had to go off the field for a couple of plays, they're not putting in KJ Lacey. Like you might think that KJ Lacey's the best of all these guys. Cody's talked about it before. He thinks he spins the ball better than either of the other 2 backups, but you're not putting him in. And so if the need arises, who's the backup quarterback? And why did you go out why did you have to go out after you'd seen a spring of Trey Owens and get a guy who was pretty thoroughly unimpressive I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, you guys watched the film of Matthew Caldwell. It's like, it's not like where was he? Troy?
Yes.
Wait, I was more impressed with that little running back, number 4, that Ole Miss got in the transfer portal from Troy than I was with anything that Caldwell did.
When it comes to Caldwell, for me, I don't know how much of an insult this might be, Jason. I don't know if looks like a great football player, but he looks like the guy I would cast as a great football player. Like if I needed a quarterback for a movie, I might put him out there. We just need to see if it's real in real games. But he looks the part, but I don't know beyond that.
Yeah, he's much bigger than I expected. Hell, I got him confused with Arch Manning when I was taking pictures out there one day. So, and to be fair, I mean, I did hear that he had a really good scrimmage on Saturday. So, I don't know the answer to the backup quarterback question. I predicted actually in my 3-2-1 column that I think he'll be the guy just because of the experience. If something happens where Arch has to miss some time, I think the coaches will rely on Caldwell's experience. But I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, there's still a couple weeks of camp that still may not be fully settled yet.
You also have to take into account, like, how much does he doesn't have that much experience. He doesn't have any experience playing at a level like Texas.
No.
Right. But the other, like, how much do you weigh, like, the experience that Trey Owens has had, at least within the system, versus the lower level game experience of the other? It's just like, it makes for a bunch of interesting dynamics. I'm not sure they even know. I mean, what Sark was saying going into the last scrimmage is he was like, I think we got to figure out who our backup quarterback is.
Yeah. And they all kind of got time with the 2s. They moved them around. So it wasn't like there was a firm pecking order all scrimmage. I mean, each one of those guys got time with the 2s.
So something we'll definitely keep an eye on. And this weekend scrimmage, hopefully we'll get to hear from some sources if maybe there's a little bit starting to clear up there, because I mean, obviously it's it's something that we'd like to have a better grip on.
Yeah. Here's something I know I've got a grip on. That old joke they like to tell is the most popular guy in Austin is the backup quarterback. Kids, this year, nothing could be further from the truth. Yeah. Nothing. The popularity level of all three of the other quarterbacks combined isn't half what the fans will think of Arch Manning. That's where 25 is. So the last thing Texas fans want to see this year is their backup quarterback. It is not one of those years. Thank you guys for jumping in. Thanks for liking, subscribing, getting those notifications. I think I saw it right. We're over 75,000 subscribers on the YouTube page. Thank you guys for doing that. Hey, we can't get to 8 million until we get to 75,000. You helped us get there. So keep that rolling. Subscribe if you haven't. That is free.
Comment below, man. Let us know who you think the backup quarterback is. Is it Matt? You think it should be Matthew Caldwell? Do you think it should be Trey Owens? Do you think it should be KJ Lacey? Let us know in the comments below. Chad talks about that 75K subscribers, man. What really helps with it is getting these comments that are underneath the videos. So leave those comments. We'll circle back around and we'll engage with you guys there.
There you go. Get it done. Thank you guys for your support. Alex mentioned Football with Friends coming later. He and Cody get that for you. Check out all the content. Check out the video section. Check out the short section. There's a lot of good stuff at Orange Bloods Live, and we appreciate y'all checking it out. And, of course, if you want to check out orangebloods.com, try it for a week for $1 for your first week, and you'll be hooked. We promise. Y'all take care. We will talk to you tomorrow on a Thursday. We'll be back at noon tomorrow with OB Live. Shout out again to Mama Ketchum. Hope you're up and about very, very soon. And hopefully Jeff is back tomorrow as well. Y'all take care. See ya.